fellow bingers and bickerers. Welcome back to Binging and Bickering. And this week, Dan and I are talking about why the rum is gone.
For 2 weeks straight, we've said we wanted to figure out our intro and outro.
I like that one the best.
Yeah, probably. I'm not going to sit here and list out the Pixar movies again.
No.
Because that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean, whichever one. I feel like they marketed it like Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's like Caribbean. You know, they marketed it both ways, and then once like we all figured out that it's actually Caribbean, you know, it's like, why were they calling it like Lima Bean?
Yeah, not important.
No. But we've got, you know, they're fun movies. The first one came out in 2003. And since then, the lead character of the saga is Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow, has become a cultural phenomenon, and the movies themselves have become kind of ingrained with, you know, kind of defining a whole ass like fantasy genre. I mean, like in the mid 2000s, it was there alongside kind of like the start of like the superhero movies and the Harry Potter
movies. They really got
movies.
into the universe building too. That
Without
you
a doubt,
see
yeah.
Nowadays as well.
And, you know, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it fights alongside and makes a name for itself amongst the Harry Potters, the Lord of the Rings, the superhero movies. And, you know, it's just an awesome movie franchise. And I think we're both excited to talk about that today.
Yeah, I would say comparing it to those franchises, Pirates hinges more on memorable moments than it does the overall like story and lore, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's still a ton to talk about.
For sure.
And we'll just jump right in. Before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell button on the bottom. And it'd mean a lot to us. We like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Helps us out.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't hurt you. Why don't you just fucking do it?
No, if the video pops up and you see we're talking about pirates, don't fucking click on it. But
it's free.
The next week you might like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Anyway, our first topic is we're just going to talk about Jack Sparrow. You kind of have to.
Yeah.
He is this franchise's figure, and we're just getting into the quintessential Jack Sparrow moment. That could mean a lot of things, like his funniest moment, just the moment that kind of defines him the most. What would you say your pick is?
I think my honorable mention would be him having his jar of dirt. Like him thinking that like him having Davy Jones's heart in like a jar of dirt in the end of the second movie, Dead Man's Chest. I love that. Like he just keeps talking about it. He's like, I've got a jar of dirt. I've got a jar of dirt. Because like he knows that he's got the heart in it, and like nobody knows what he's talking about. I enjoy that, and he's just running around like carrying it. I really love that. I mean, the heart of this series is at Jack Sparrow. Even so much so that the latter two movies, which I don't think should have been made, rely on his quirkiness to kind of carry them. And if it weren't for him,
it just gets gimmicky.
If it weren't for him, those movies would be like arguably the worst movies ever made. But I think his gimmick like does actually make them like you know, semi-watchable. But his
the worst movie ever.
You know, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is the Mummy.
I think that was the same year, maybe.
I think it was, and then Spike Lee's Bamboozled is pretty bad. But we're not. But I think the first 2 minutes that Jack Sparrow is on screen is probably like the most iconic, like the best, most quintessential moment, because in there, he's riding in on a ship as it's sinking. Like, he sees, like, the dead pirates hanged from a cliff at Port Royal, and he, like, takes his hat off and, like, salutes them. And then, like, literally his ship is sinking, and he's riding the crow's nest all the way to the point to where he's able to step on the dock. And then he's met there, maybe it's a couple minutes later where the Imperial soldiers are like, Jack Sparrow, you might be the worst pirate I've ever heard of. And he's like, Yes, but you have heard of me.
Mhm.
Like that quote is an all-time quote. I think it's like probably the best quote that comes out of the first film, Curse of the Black Pearl, and it's just like absolute Jack Sparrow. I love that scene of him just riding in on that boat, and then just like within the first couple minutes of the movie, like he is just like that's him, and that is him to a T. Like there's not too much development of Jack really that you find out about. Cause like you find out why he's kind of the way he is, but like he is who he is because of those first couple of minutes, and
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a lot of good ones, but I think what works really well about the first movie, outside of the awesome action and the introduction to the world, is you kind of don't know where his morality lies. He is like a quintessential. I'm fucking overusing the word, but he is a definite anti-hero for most of the movie. You don't know where his motivations lie. Is he gonna fuck over Will and Elizabeth? Is he gonna realign with Barbossa? Is he just in it for himself? Which is kind of what I had always thought for the longest when I was younger watching the movie. But I love the climax with him. Will, I forget if Elizabeth, I think, yeah, Elizabeth's there, and they fight against Barbossa and his men, and he has the opportunity to get his gold, get his ship back, and I think that's the deal he makes with Barbossa, right? In exchange for the curse being lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he turns on Barbossa. They have that awesome fight, and then he uses his one shot on Barbossa, and he's like, "Oh, was it 13 years? Or you carried that one shot, now you wasted it." And Will says he didn't waste it, and Will's avenges his father, drops the medallion into Cortez's chest, and Barbossa has that awesome death where I think he says, "I feel cold," or something like that. And it's a very full circle moment for Jack because the stakes are there, and he shows his true colors finally, and it takes like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, just I think the first one, needed to be as good as it was for it to kind of, have the run that it had. And I mean, we're going to talk about like the series in itself a little bit later, but like everything about the first one, from Jack's anti-hero role to Elizabeth Swann being like a royal that wants to be a pirate, to Will Turner, who's a peasant but wants to be a pirate, like there's so much there that like makes like the pirate life like so cool. And then Barbossa is an awesome
Norrington's in there too, and
villain.
he's a
like
good
Norrington's
secondary
awesome.
antagonist.
There's just so much about it that like makes that gives the whole series life and gives the characters life. And just the first movie's just so well done. And even like the monkey, Little Jack.
Yeah. Gibbs as well.
I love Mr. Gibbs. He's awesome.
Another great Jack Sparrow moment is when Will saves him at the end of Black Pearl, and he's like, "This is the moment you almost caught Captain Jack," and he falls off the edge.
I really like too the moment in at World's End where they find themselves at like the end of the world, and Jack is there like by himself, and he's like pulling like the black. He finds the Black Pearl, and he's like pulling it on like those little white crabs.
That's such a weird
all
fucking
the way.
sequence.
I know, but like the little white crabs like help him get the Black Pearl back into the ocean, and then like he's like, they're like, "How are you gonna captain the ship without a crew?" Because like he doesn't want to take any of them because they all kind of had a hand in why he had like died in Dead Man's Chest. And then he's like, "Gibbs, you can come with." Like Gibbs is like the first one he just picks just because it's Gibbs. Like, and he's like kind of a perfect like right hand man.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to. I don't want to forget any because there's a lot of good Jack Sparrow moments. The one that's been made very famous is when he's being cooked on the island. I think that one's fucking stupid.
I like. What does he have to like? like he uses like the like big stick that he's on to
Yeah.
like pole vault over stuff. I that's part of Jack Sparrow, but like, you know, like those types of moments, like grandized, like basically that moment. If you haven't seen the fourth and fifth Pirates movie, they like turn that moment
That's
into like a whole movie.
Yeah. Isn't he pulling cities or something in the beginning of the fifth one, or like buildings or some shit?
A whole building.
Oh
in
my
the
god!
beginning of
It's like the end
one.
of Fast Five where they're pulling the bank vault.
Yeah. I do like the beginning of 4 where he's pretending to be like a judge for Gibbs, and then he like breaks Gibbs out of for like Gibbs is like he's being tried for piracy, and like Jack has like infiltrated the court.
Right.
I do like that one, but you know, it did get a little kind of
The movies are very
fantastical.
jarring because they jump between tones constantly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why we love them. So we'll move on, and that is, you know, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a swashbuckling pirate, and you know, who would you're in this world.
Mhm.
Are you playing the role of some East India Company asshole who's working for the British? Are you being a goody two shoes and being on Jack's crew? Are you being an undead zombie with Davy Jones? Like, who, if you could exist in this world, who would be your captain, and who would you like? Which ship would you want to be on?
I think I wouldn't want to be with Davy Jones because like I wouldn't want to be like this gross like shark headed guy who's like there as like a slave.
I don't
like,
want barnacles on me.
No, and like they're enslaved. Like they're there because like they broke a deal with Davy Jones that they couldn't repay. So like they're there serving like life sentences, and like they're there and they can't leave the ocean. I don't know, like Jack doesn't run like a tight ship. He's not a bad captain, but like he doesn't run a tight ship. I'd want someone who's like running a tight ship, and that doesn't mean to be, you know, East India Company tight. I think Barbossa
100%.
is the best captain in the whole
100%.
series, and I would absolutely want to be on his, whether it's his Black Pearl or if whatever other ship he commandeers.
The Queen Anne's Revenge, I think it's called in the fourth one.
Yeah, he's Barbossa's portrayed by Jeffrey Rush, Hector Barbossa. He is he's an awesome character. Like he is like the ideal like pirate. Like the reason why Pirates kind of has the heart and life that it does is because of like Jack Sparrow, and that's what makes it like goofy and family friendly almost. But like Pirates, like pirate in your mind, like you have this idea of pirate in your mind before you watch the movies, and like Barbossa is like such a perfect pirate, and I feel like he, like, you know, he's running around, he's the one who got Cortez's curse, like he was going around,
he's fifth movie.
He's pillaging towns. He's stealing gold. Like he's got an awesome crew. All of Jack's crew like was Barbossa's crew before like shit went down in like the first and second movies. So like I think like Barbossa runs a tight ship. He's like a perfect pirate, and I would definitely want to be on his ship.
Yeah, he's definitely an asshole.
Yeah,
and he's a delegator for sure. But as long as I don't have to live with Cortez's curse, basically just so I can die on some raid, like I take a flintlock pistol to the face, that's fine. Just don't make me undead, because that sounds like a nightmare. But outside of that, I would 100% want to be a pirate with Barbossa, because if I'm going to be a pirate, you want to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, and he
he
drinks.
Aside, pillaging would be fun.
Yeah, he drinks, he pillages. Like he's
that feast he has in Curse of the Black Pearl.
He's after like the regular like pirate riches. Like he's not as interested in like the stuff of legend. I feel like he's more about like give me my gold, like give me like like kind of stuff. Which I think, like, you know, you look at kind of all of the other like fantastical, like mythical things that happen in Pirates. Like I feel like that like is cool. You know, like he just wants to be like he just wants to ride the seas and fucking, you know, port in a town, like have a woman in every port and fucking just like I have a bunch of gold and like not have to worry about anything.
Will becomes the captain of Davy Jones's ship.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd be decent, but still too nice for my liking. If I'm gonna be a pirate, I want to be a scoundrel.
And Will too. I mean, he's serving a sentence. Like he died. Like there's and he's the one who killed, but he's the one who
And he can't step foot on the shores.
right until the fifth one.
Right.
But like so they, Jack and Elizabeth like used his dead hand at the end of 3 to like stab Davy Jones's heart so that. Because the one who kills him has to become like
right.
The Flying Dutchman needs a captain, so Will becomes the captain. He can't leave. Yeah, he's like a nicer guy than Davy Jones, but his crew is still a bunch of gross fish people that are serving life sentences there.
And Norrington is kind of the polar opposite of Barbossa, but he's just as stern and just as much of a delegator. But you're not going to have any fun with Norrington as captain.
No.
I respect him, but that's not a fun ship.
No, it's not. And, you know, there's always a higher order, you know,
right.
Like you're not necessarily the captain of the ship because you go report to the king.
Well, and let's say I get tired of Barbossa. Pirate code basically says you can clip him and throw a mutiny and put yourself in charge. So I feel like he'd respect that. If I do that with Britain,
then you have to deal with the king. Yeah.
So we're both going Barbossa. I feel like it's a very obvious choice if you want to play the part. Moving on. This franchise is filled with so many great myths and stuff of legend. And if, you know, similar to what we did with the Potter episode with talking about, we talked about the Deathly Hallows in that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. If you could pick one thing from this franchise to be real, what would it be? Because every movie has so much.
I think that the pirate code, like I wish that was like the real laws. Like I think the pirate code has it figured out. And like if I wanted to live by like a set of rules or have anything from the Pirates of the Caribbean like films like be real, I would think it's like the pirate code. Like here are your set of rules. Rule 1, befriend others wisely. You know, it's like don't trust fucking anybody because they're gonna, you know, try and take your treasure. Parlay is an awesome rule. It's like, you know, like they have to like you you can't kill somebody, like they have to be taken to the captain so that like a deal can be made between whatever captor and captain. I do enjoy that. Whoever first spotted a treasure-laden ship could choose the best pistol for themselves. Every crew member is to have an equal share in any treasure found. Any man who falls behind is left behind. Ooh.
I like that one.
Trading for products fair and square mean the seller can do as they like, including resell at profit. The code calls for pirates to respect their fellows on the account. Knowingly targeting and sinking other pirate ships is strictly forbidden. Killing a surrendered enemy is not allowed. I do like that. I just like...
So, like, in the day-to-day, throw out the Constitution.
Yeah.
Pirate code.
I just like that even, like, the worst of pirates, like, even, like, the most evil pirates, like, even the most evil people who are after Jack or who are after, you know, world-conquering, like, mythical, you know, sea treasures, all respect the pirate code. Like, everybody follows the pirate code. Like, when Parlay is called, like, even, like, Barbossa's crew, like, they respect Parlay. And, like, I just really enjoy that. And I feel like...
Yeah, you could walk up to someone on the street, blow their head off, and say Parlay.
Yeah. And then, you know, you'd have to deal with whatever consequences. But if you can cut a right deal, then you're good.
That's I wasn't thinking that. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna.
You took it a different route, and I respect that. I thought you were gonna say Jack's compass, which points you to what you want most. That would be a good one.
That's a good one too.
But I would overuse it.
I wasn't gonna. Yeah, and I wasn't gonna say like a ship because like I'm deathly afraid of water and boats. So I'm not gonna say that, and I'm not gonna say that fucking Poseidon's trident from the fifth one because that's kind of dumb. Or the fourth one's what? Fountain of Youth.
So it has the Fountain of Youth, but I'm actually gonna piggyback off that. The fourth one does deserve to be criticized, but I personally I like it more than 5. But I think there are elements of it that are really cool. While the character of Blackbeard in 4 is not great, he's played by Ian McShane, who is literally incapable of being bad in anything.
Yeah.
So I like his portrayal of Blackbeard, but on top of that, his sword. Do you remember what his sword does?
No.
I think it's called the Sword of Triton or something like that. And it has the capabilities of controlling his ship with however he fucking moves it and like waves it around. So it's basically like a wand. So he at one point he uses the ship to basically influence the ropes to act as snakes and like grab people and tie them up. And it's a very powerful weapon.
I remember him having the Black Pearl in like a small little
yeah, he has it
bottle.
He has it in if that comes with it, that's cool.
Yeah.
But
he had a bunch of ships. Like
Yeah.
he's got he opens his coat and he's got a bunch of fucking that's cool.
he's just like a greedy old pirate in the movie, but his sword is fucking awesome. If I could get a sword that could control a ship, I don't think I'd ever leave the water because I'd feel untouchable.
Until you needed
Like a big wave is crashing over and you just swipe the sword.
Until you needed to like pillage a town.
Well, it's a big fucking sword. It can cut some people in half.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you'd have the perfect sword for controlling your ship and raping and pillaging a town.
Leave out the raping.
It's part of it.
Yeah, it's a pirate's life. Probably butt sex too with
Yeah.
because it's very well known that pirates were homosexual. A lot of people like to portray them as big brawny machismos, but
no, there's a reason
they
why
sailed all together on the sea with no women in sight for thousands of miles.
That's why the term ass pirate is a thing.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
Anyway, so I'm going with the Sword of Triton. It's fucking badass.
That's cool.
It's good. I mean, Fountain of Youth, again, all that shit like Davy Jones's Locker, Fountain of Youth, Cortez's Medallion. Immortality is overrated.
I'd agree.
And the second one is Davy Jones's Heart. So I hardly even remember the Trident in the fifth one.
Whoever holds it rules the sea, and if it is broken, then all of the curses of the sea are also broken. So
in the fifth one, this is what I remember. Literally, the extent of remembering the fifth movie is Javier Bardem, Captain Salazar, who we did not mention.
Sparrow.
That. Him saying Jack Sparrow with such an emphasis on Sparrow.
Sparrow.
That's my extent to the fifth movie. It was very forgettable. I know some people enjoyed it more than 4, but it was not very good. Let's move on to 4, because I feel like we're getting into this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. So our fourth topic is: do you guys want to see more, or do you want to see less Pirates of the Caribbean? Because ending on 5, I mean, I'm the one rambling here, so I'll just keep going. It put a really sour taste in my mouth, and it could have ended with 3.
Should have ended with 3.
Should have ended with 3. And now they've announced that they're done with Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow, and I really don't have an argument with that. I
Fine.
feel like the franchise should end anyway, but they're going to move on in a different direction.
With Nebula.
Are those the kids?
No, Karen Gillan from.
Karen
Gillan, who plays
from Guardians of the
Nebula,
Galaxy.
who plays
yeah.
Nebula in
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers movies. Apparently, she is going to star in a new set of Pirates movies that have nothing to do with, or so we think, have nothing to do with Jack Sparrow or anything like that. But the argument doesn't really lie in that. It's whether or not there should be more or less.
I think less, but here's my pitch. I think from a movie standpoint, in a 2-hour, 2.5-hour time frame, there's very little you can do here to reinvent the wheel. But as the Mandalorian has previously showed with Star Wars, is Disney Plus can actually do a pretty good job of expanding a world when it's on the small screen and they have more time to flush it out and focus on varying perspectives. And I think that this Pirates world is fun enough to where I do want to see more of it, but I want to see less of the familiar stories. So with the fifth one dealt with Will and Elizabeth's kids. That to me was
dumb.
so annoying.
Like, why is it like Star Wars?
You
where,
have
like, everybody has to be
you have so
related?
many possibilities here. Why are you doing this story? So I wouldn't mind seeing it maybe on Disney Plus, give it that big budget format and just completely shift the narrative focus, maybe in a world post all of them existing. What do you think? That's kind of where I lie on it. Movies I'm done with, especially with Jack.
Funnily enough, I didn't even think about a pirate series on Disney Plus because the fourth and fifth Pirates movies to me should have never been made. I think the first three Pirates movies are so awesome. I think, it's like you have Orlando Bloom's Will Turner. Like, I feel like his character arc was like, you find in the beginning of the first one, like, he was a pirate, and you find out that he's the son of Bootstrap Bill, and then by the end of it, he lives a life at sea because that's what, like, he was always destined for. Yes, he became the captain of the Flying Dutchman, but, whatever. And then Elizabeth, I feel like like they were gonna figure it out. I feel like the last 5 minutes is like he can come to land or something, and then just chooses to have 15 more years at sea or whatever. But they still have a kid, obviously, by the end of the franchise. But I feel the way the third one ended, it was just it. And then they came back for the fourth one, and Will and Elizabeth aren't even in it, and they kind of just have the continuing swashbuckling adventures of Jack Sparrow, which was okay. But then the fifth one was oh, let's bring it all back together, where Will and Elizabeth are in one scene, and they sold the entire movie on that alone, just because those
it was a bullshit big studio move.
Three movies were about those three characters, and they sold the last movie completely on that because they know that somebody like me would go to pay to see it because Will and Elizabeth were back in it, which is kind of the biggest, one of the more glaring flaws of the fourth film was that, yes, the movie, that fourth movie has its own flaws, but Will and Elizabeth not being there kind of didn't make it feel like a Pirates movie. Giving it thought now, I love the first three. I think the first three are amazing. And I enjoy that the trilogy all just kind of wrapped up, and then 4 and 5 just kind of muddy everything up to me. Doing another pirate story in the same kind of world and making Port Royal like a visit like in the 5th episode of of a 10 episode season or something like that. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, like when Mando goes back to like Tatooine by like the 5th or 6th episode of that season. Like I thought that was really cool. And I think that works. Like it showed, I mean, Star Wars has always been successful in television. But like Mando being the first like live action Star Wars property that wasn't a movie, worked. It really worked. And now that I'm thinking about it,
do you mean outside the animated shows?
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
The first
okay.
the first live
Yeah, I
action
missed that,
show. So I could see Pirates working as a Disney Plus show, and I hope that's seriously considered because, unfortunately, like you, the 4th and 5th movies kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and they kind of left the 4th movie open for like, you know, a continuity of what's her name? Penelope Cruz's character, and then she doesn't even come back in the 5th one. So like, and now they're done with Jack Sparrow, so there's no chance of ever revisiting that. Like, I don't want any of that like touched because to me, like Pirates is kind of just like 1 through 3, and then you kind of forget about the rest. So I do see Disney Plus being a viable, you know, platform for Pirates to live on. But I'm done with the big gigantic movies because after 3, they just seemed way too built on Jack Sparrow's goofiness, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah, say what you want about some of the trilogy, or not trilogy, the franchise being somewhat imperfect, but Gore Verbinski, who directed the first 3, really understood the movies, and I would love to see him come back in like an EP capacity on a show. It's just the world is cool, and you know, make a kind of what they did with The Mandalorian, make something for the hardcores. That way you don't have to focus on selling a
Pleasing
movie and
a completely different audience.
Probably,
because
you know,
I think the audience for Pirates of the Caribbean,
they have a big fan base.
They have a gigantic fan base, and you know, I feel as if like, not that we're the only ones who are allowed to enjoy it, but watching 4 and 5, like when they were made, like post our like the first 3 movies came out in 03, 05, and 07.
Yeah.
Okay, we were kids then. I think the 4th one was made in 2011, and then the last one was made in 2017.
I think that sounds right. But you're close. Either way, you're close.
Like, I feel like those last 2 movies should be like more mature movies that like grew alongside, like, I don't know, like the kid to teenager range of the original movies. And they didn't because they have to be made for like a Disney crowd. And it was like, but you're concluding a series. You're making the 4th and 5th movies of a series. I feel like the 4th and 5th Pirates movies are exactly what It's Always Sunny is making fun of in the Thunder Gun test audience episode. If
exactly, especially with the direction they're going.
Right, it's like we're gonna make they make fun of like sequels and like reboots to where like they bring back the original cast to like hand the torch off to like somebody else, and Sunny does a beautiful job of and a very funny job of like explaining why like that kind of sucks. It's like leave stuff where it lies.
That's not why I wore this shirt either. Nice pull.
But like Pirates got to be that in 4 and 5. It was just like, just leave it alone. Like, don't, like, I'm not saying like Pirates should be left alone. I'm saying like that original, like Pirates is a big expansive world. You can make a story about any pirate, just like in Star Wars you can talk about any character.
Right,
like,
there's
leave the Skywalkers
yes.
alone. You know, so like there's so many ships, there are so many captains. Create your own character and leave Jack Sparrow alone. Leave Elizabeth and Will Turner alone.
One of the cool things that the franchise does too is blend history with myth, and there's still a lot of that to be done.
Completely agree. I mean, like there are so many things that like out there just in you know, in the exploration times where these treasures and these myths got lost. And like, you know, like the fact that like Indiana, like I mean, in one of our earlier episodes where we talked about Indiana Jones, like the fact that like the fourth one like went into like interdimensional beings and aliens was dumb. Like why, like you know, like why for the fifth Pirates movie, like why
Pirates
go,
of the Extraterrestrial.
like why go explore like Poseidon, like the god of the sea and his trident, before you go and explore like I don't know, like just some other like historical treasure, you know? There's a lot there, and I really hope now that I'm thinking about it, I never thought about it before you said it. I really think Disney Plus could be the route, and I hope that they're really considering about making Pirates a show, because I hopefully would love that.
They seem to be jumping on that train. They're doing it with Marvel. They've done it with Star Wars. They're doing it with some of their more successful animated stuff. So hopefully we see it. We will see, but I think that will wrap up our Pirates conversation.
Yep. I love this franchise, and I think we did a really good job this week of like, you know, talking about the negatives, but also really hyping up the positives. I feel like
a little negative last couple times.
Last week, like with Pixar, like I feel like it was a lot more negative episode when we're two grown men talking about like, you know, movies kind of not necessarily like made for kids, but like animated films. Like I got like really kind of negative. So to talk about like Pirates, like the good and bad of Pirates, like this was, I think we did a good job.
I enjoyed it. And if you like what we're doing, head on over to charactertheory.com. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe. And if any of these topics interested you, feel free to voice your opinions by commenting below. We love hearing your guys' opinion. You know, hearing something other than our own voices is nice because we say a lot of stupid things. And is there anything else?
Keep watching movies. Keep watching TV. If you guys have a suggestion for an episode, like stuff that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know as well. Comments. Our audio listeners, please give us a rating and review on iTunes and SoundCloud. We're 5-star men. Please give us 5 stars and leave a review below. And in those same comment sections, please, if you want to hear something, or if you want to reply to today's episodes or our previous episodes, let loose in the comments. Well, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I think this is episode 10.
Yeah.
A landmark. More coming.
Diaz.
All right. We'll see you guys. Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye.